Hi, my name is Sandra, and today I am making bakes and saltfish, which I'm going to show you step by step how you can do this. First, you need water, all-purpose unbleached flour, coconut milk, baking powder, oil, and then we are going to start. So now we're going to measure the amount of flour we're going to use. This is based on how many bakes you'd like to make. For me, I kind of make quite a bit, so this is 1 cup. My family love bakes, so I'd have to make like a lot of them, because then they say, well, you did not make enough bakes. So that's 2 cups. And then we're going to measure out 3 cups. And this is for quite a few bakes, as you will see how many they will make as we proceed. There we are, and this is 4 cups. Yeah, bakes and saltfish happens to be a staple from South America. That's 5 cups of flour from South America, the Caribbean, and the West Indies. So we have 5 cups of flour, and there's a can of coconut milk. We're going to use 2 tablespoons of baking powder. We're going to use about a 1/3 cup of sugar, 1/3 cup of sugar, 1/3 cup of sugar that we're going to add to the flour, because you don't want it too sweet, because remember you're going to have a blend of salt and sweet, because the bakes must have just a little bit of sweet, and then the fish, the saltfish, is going to be just a tad bit salty. So here we go, we put the sugar and the flour. Then I will add the baking powder, which will be 2 tablespoons, level tablespoons, so that we wouldn't put too much of it in there. Okay, so we have the baking powder in there. Then we're going to mix this together. Make sure everything is mixed in before we add the liquids. So you just stir that. Kind of make sure everything is mixed in. So now we're going to open the can of coconut milk, which we will. Can of coconut milk, we're going to open that. Well, you know what I usually do? I always wash the can off when I get it from the store. I rinse the can off and dry it. And then I'm going to open the can of coconut milk. So we're adding a can of coconut milk, and that's your choice of which brand you'd like to use. Basically, you know, people have preferences. For me, I just use a can of coconut milk. So the coconut milk is in with the flour, sugar, baking powder. And now we're going to add, I have a 1 cup of water poured, because I'm not sure how much water I'm going to need to make sure everything is mixed properly. So I'm going to add a little bit at a time. So I've added, let me see, 1/2 cup. And I'm going to mix this in. So I'm mixing it together here. I have to add the other half a cup of water. So we had 1 cup of water added to the mixture. Again, we had 5 cups of flour. We had 1 can of coconut milk, 2 tablespoons of baking powder, and a 1/3 cup of sugar. So now we're mixing the bakes, as we call it, together. I personally do not like to hold flour in my hand, so I will be using gloves. And it's only because I don't like the texture of flour on my hand. So now we're going to proceed to knead the bakes. As I said before, I don't like to hold flour in my hand, so I have to use gloves. But when I use a latex glove, I wash my hands with soap in the latex glove to prevent any chemicals transferring into the dough. So we're going to mix. If you notice, it's a little sticky right now. It is a little sticky, so what we have to do, I use all the stickiness to clean the side of the bowl while kneading. And what I'll do is get a little bit of flour, and I'm going to sprinkle it on top of the dough. So that I can knead it some more. Yes, I've covered the bake mixture with saran wrap, and we're going to set it aside for in a few minutes. Hi again. Now we are going to prepare the saltfish. Remember, I just showed you how to mix the bakes, and we have set that aside, and we will fry that a little later. But right now we are about to do the saltfish. I have Pollock here, and this is Pollock, and two 12-ounce packets. So I have 2 12-ounce packets here. What I did, I took the Pollock out of the package, and I rinsed most of the salt out, and I have it sitting here, and I'll show you what I'll do that later. In order to make the saltfish dish, the ingredients that you need celery, about garlic. I like a lot of garlic, so I use about 8 pegs of garlic, as you can see. And I have an onion and a quarter, from like this size of onion. I have an onion and a quarter, and then I have 2 tomatoes. Now we're going to take the 4 celery hearts, as you're seeing here, and what I do, I kind of slit it right in the middle, down in the middle. And then we're going to chop it. And as you notice, I have 2 tomatoes. I have 3/4 of onion. 3/4 of onion. There's 1, 2, 3. And then I have the 8 pegs of garlic. So we're going to first chop the celery. So I just gather them all together, and then I'll chop. I like chopping, it's therapeutic. I love to cook because it's therapeutic for me. Take your time because you don't want to cut your fingers. Here again, you chop, cut in half, and then you cut the onions. Okay. So now we transfer the onions over to the pan. Chop in the knife, you have the knife, touch your hand here, and then you just move. Using the back of your hand here, this right hand, to do the chopping. If you're left-handed, you just do the reverse. Transfer this to the pan. As you notice, I have the onion, the garlic, the celery. Next, we're going to cut the tomatoes. And you'll see why I waited for the tomatoes to be last. Because it has a way where it spills a little bit. One of the things I do, I try to not cook with all the seeds in the tomatoes, so I will scoop seeds out. Okay, now the tomato seeds are all scooped out. I'm gonna cut the tomato in half. Already in quarters. We'll chop. So now I will add the tomatoes to the pan, which I have here. As you notice, there are the tomatoes. There's tomatoes, onions, celery, and garlic. Okay, now we're going to proceed with the saltfish. Well, I rinsed the bowl off after I cut the seasonings. So now I'm about to show you how to do the fish, which is the pollard. So I have one piece out. I'm going to just lay them all here. There are 2, 3, 4, 5, and one more piece with 6 pieces of pollard. So we're going to cut down, just making it in like strips. So if you notice, I have 3 pieces cut down there. Then I'm going to cut it across in about, let me see, 1.5 inches pieces. As I cut them and put it in the bowl. Fish all cut and ready. So what we are going to do now, I'm going to transfer the saltfish to a colander. In the colander, transfer it here, and we're going to rinse a little bit more of the salt out of the saltfish. What we are going to do, we're going to put a few cups of water in this. One of the ways that I have found to get some of the salt out of the saltfish without like soaking it for hours and hours and taking some of the nutrition out of the fish, I have learned to just use water in a pan, and we're going to just bring it to a boil with the saltfish, and that would take a lot of the salt out of it. Turn on. As you notice, I'm using a mug of water. And what we are going to do is put the saltfish in there. Bring in the saltfish. We're just going to add it in here. Okay. We'll bring that to a boil. Once you bring that to a boil, bring the saltfish to boil on the stove. You're not going to boil it long. You just let it come to a boil. As you see, it's boiling. And now what we are going to do, we're going to strain it in the colander in the sink. Turn the stove off. And we're going to take it over there. We're going to strain it in the colander. If you don't like any salt in it at all, you can do a second boil on the fish, and that will remove pretty much all the salt. So we're boiling the saltfish for a second time because, again, it had a little bit too much salt in it. And for those people with hypertension, they don't really need a whole lot of salt. And even for regular people, they don't really need something to be too salty, because then it takes away the flavor of what you're trying to achieve. So now that we have that sauteed, we're going to add the saltfish. Some of them done, we're going to add that to it. We're going to add a little bit of lemon juice, not much, just squeeze a lemon, just to get the little fishy smell out of the fish. gonna add a little bit of parsley. A little sprinkle some black pepper. And those of you who like cayenne pepper can also sprinkle a little bit in there. Yeah, as I said, now we added the saltfish to the seasonings. Now we're just going to simmer it a little bit. Let the flavors get into the saltfish. And again, for those of you who might like cayenne pepper, you can throw a little dash in there, just a dash, or else it'll get too hot. And then you just saute. Just keep stirring it up a little bit. What I'll do is lower the stove now. As you might see, everything is pretty much cooked. Tomatoes, everything. I'm going to put the stove on low and I'll cover the pot and just let it simmer for another 3 minutes, and then I'll turn the stove off. So now we do the final stir here, as you might see. And this is your saltfish. Now what we are going to do is put it in a dish. Then you turn the stove off. Then transfer it to dish. Looks yummy, don't it? Looks like you're ready to eat it like right now. Although the bakes are not done yet. Okay, so now we have the pollock. So this is the pollock. Now we had the bakes sitting aside already mixed. So now what we're going to do is shape the bakes and get ready them for frying. So what we're going to do first, we're going to put some oil in the pan. We're going to measure. Have 1 cup. 2 cups. And a half. 2 cups and a half of oil. We have a little bit of flour here in the pan because we might need it for the bakes. So what you do, you get the flour, a little bit of flour, you sprinkle it on top, just a little. And then you're going to start, what you're going to do is have the oil warming also while you do this. So the oil, that oil will be coming to warm the heat. Now we're going to do bakes. Take a piece like this. You got a piece like this, and you shape it. You don't want to overload it with the flour because if you do, the flour it would get in the oil and start burning. So you shape the bakes. Just get flour, a little bit of flour, sprinkle. You grab a piece. Like this, like almost like a handful, and then you shape it. If it's too sticky, you just tap your hand in the flour, tap it, shape. And we are putting it on a piece of foil paper on the countertop. Again, you continue doing the process. Piece. Tap a little flour, shape. We'll continue this until all of it is done. It's very popular in the Caribbean and in South America. Lots of people like the sweet and salty taste. Shape, everything looks nice and shapely when you plate on the foil. A little bit. As I said, I make quite a bit because my family loves to eat this, and kind of make enough so that they can have enough. To test whether the oil is ready or not, I'll show you in 1 second how we go about testing. Oil takes a while to heat, that's why I have it heating up already on the stove. So what you want by the time you're ready with this, some people might prefer to shape this on a board, which they can. You can you know, put it on the board and you can kind of put it around like this, shape it, flatten it, and then, so you have different ways of shaping. For me, it's easier for me to do it the way I do it because I guess I'm accustomed to doing it that way. But when you shape them, you make sure they're like not too thick, because if they're too thick, they will not cook in the middle. And the other thing you have to be aware of when you're cooking the bakes, you cannot cook it at the oil very high. Once the oil comes to heat, then you need to lower it to a medium so that the oil would not burn the bakes and it would allow the outside to cook and not in. Because if you don't cook it on a moderate fire, what happens, the inside would remain raw, and you don't want that. So you make it thin enough, and now we will check to see whether or not the oil is ready in 1 second. If you notice that the bakes does not have any flour particularly on them, because you know you have to just do that. So now we're going to test to see whether or not the oil is ready. Just take a little piece of the mixture and you put it in there. It's simmering there, so it shows that it is ready for cooking. Yeah, we have the bowl. We're going to get some paper towel, double it, and put it in the middle of the bowl like this. So when you're finished cooking the bakes, you'll transfer it into the bowl. So now we're about to start frying. Going to take one bake, put it there. Lower the fire to the middle. So we have 2. Fire lowered and the bakes probably can put one more in there, which I'll just fit right in here. As you see, the bakes are frying. Remove this so I can have a better view. Usually, what happens, if you notice right now, there's in this one here, there's a little center, and if you notice, this one is popping out and getting even. Once it gets even, it's ready to be turned over. But caution, if you're cooking at too high a temperature, this will not happen, because what will happen is the base will start burning at the bottom from just the first layer. So as soon as you notice it's reached this, it's filled out. See, they're all filled out. You're gonna flip them over. Careful. If you don't like a shallow pan, you can fry it in a little deeper pan. Again, that's optional. Okay, so you notice this one bake here. I'm moving that out of the way so you can see. Yeah, see that? This one's ready to turn. This one's ready to turn because you notice it's already thing. This one's ready. That one's almost ready. Or you can go ahead and turn that one over. When it's almost there, you don't always have to wait until it's right there. And one of the things you know when the bake is cooked is just like a cake. You stick it in the middle and then tell you whether it's cooked or not. Like right now, see? That one's not done because you still have a little bit of stuff in it. So our bakes are frying. Yeah, we're frying the bake, see? Now I'm going to test to see if this one is done. No, it's not done yet, so we have to turn them over on the other side. Sometimes you have to flip them over a couple of times so it wouldn't overcook on one side. Okay, see again, nice, just nice and golden brown. We don't want them any other color than that. Give them another 2 minutes and they should be done. Again, if you cook it at too high a heat, what happens, this outer side gets cooked and then the inside doesn't really get cooked. So you have to turn the stove down to medium once you start frying. Also, you might have to put it a little bit below medium if you realize it's cooking too fast. So I think we're done with this. We'll transfer the bakes into here. There we are. We have the stove on medium, a little lower than medium because medium got the oil a little too hot. And if you see, like, this is nice and almost ready. See that? That one's taking its time. We're going to turn this over very carefully. This one is ready. Turn it over. That one is ready. Over. This one is not ready yet, but we're going to turn it over because we don't seem to want to be swelling up too much. It's almost ready. But I don't want it to burn on the other side, so I'm going to turn it over. Almost ready. It is ready. Turn it over. Let them cook. Have to wait. It's one of those things that you have to have patience. Think about these foods, like saltfish and bakes. They're time-consuming preparation-wise. It's not something you can just come in the kitchen and just 1, 2, 3 and do it. Not like making eggs and bacon. It takes a little bit more preparation time because of all the cutting up and the, you know, everything. Like, So bake some saltfish is so if you're going to make it, you have to make sure you have ample time to do it in. I'm hoping that this will help you for those of you who might have liked to have a bacon saltfish that you can actually prepare it yourself. If you have any questions, you can put it in the comments and I will respond to you in a timely manner. So we are waiting on the bakes to be finished. Almost. So we're going to check and see if they're done by taking the fork and inserting it into the bake and pull it out. You see this one needs a little bit more cooking. So you're just going to have to wait 2 more minutes for that one. That one too needs a little more cooking. Turn them over again so it won't be overcooking on one side. And then we should transfer them. By now they should be perfectly good. See? All cooked. So we're going to take it out and we put it in the basin with the other bakes. Hi, so now we've completed making bakes and saltfish. For those of you who do not use coconut milk, you can use 13.5 ounces of regular milk in the mixture. So now we're going to show you how we put the saltfish into the bake. It's a little hot off the stove. So we get one that we cooked a little bit before. And we're going to have the yellow sample for us. So we're going to cut the bake, not all the way, but just enough. And then we're going to put the saltfish in the bake. And then our yellow will show you and tell me how it tastes. Come on. And there we have saltfish and bake. I hope you enjoyed your lesson. And again, if you have any questions, write in the comments. Thank you. And there L'Oreal is tasting. So, how is it?